Back again. Kitchen plinth heaters. How they work, how to service them, and how to install them, and how to maintain them efficiently. Enjoy. Plinth heaters, they're not as popular as they used to be, but they are good. They're very good. They can heat a kitchen up quickly, quite efficiently, without taking any wall space up. Enjoy. So, at the back of the plinth heater, always put some wood, just to make the whole unit level, and level with the plinth of the kitchen. At the back, you have two copper pipe connectors. Connect the plinth heater with some flexible connectors, and do it so they've got an isolation valve on. So you can isolate it without draining the heating system down, and make sure the flexible connectors are long enough so the plinth heater can be pulled out for servicing and maintenance. So it'll come with various switches on the front. Cold to blow cold air out, hot to blow warm out, and then you've got high and low setting. These constantly have power supply on ready. What activates these is a thermostat inside. So when the heating's on, when it's up to temperature, these will kick on with a fan. So if you take it out and you isolate it and you pull it out and you isolate the electric, there's a little drain point there if you want to get the water out. These fans, this little heat exchanger here, this can be cleaned out. This might get clogged up with dust. This might want to be cleaned. Maybe try to put some lubrication on it as well. But these are pretty durable, to be fair. The biggest issue with these is that they can block up. They can block up with sludge because at the lowest part of the heating system, and there's quite a few bends that cause resistance on it as well, and they can airlock as well. So there's the bends, look, where they can airlock and get trapped with sludge. Can you see them? Just there. If this stops working, check there is actually heat to it. Check the pipes. Check it's not blocked or sludged. It could be the fan. The fan could be seized. Try freeing it up by just simply spinning it. If it gets loud, it could be the bearings in this fan that might need changing. Also, it could be the thermostat. Here's the thermostat. This works different to most heating appliances. That's a low temperature cut-off. So if this heat exchanger doesn't have any heat inside, it won't switch the fan on. It is as simple as that. So let's do a resistance check. It's on resistance 2k. The resistance is the horseshoe. We're going to go across and it gives us 1. Now let's test this. There you go. It's got hot. There's now no resistance going through this. So that will send power to the fan. Put it back in the cold concrete. And it's going to start and cause a resistance as it gets colder. So now let's look at the fan motor, see how that can go wrong and how it can be rectified. here's the fan. Ta-da. So, what can happen with these fans? They can jam, they can seize, and the bearings can go. I don't know if you can see that, but the bearings can go. So this whole spindle, motor, that can go, make a noise, and it can seize. So you can put a little bit of lubrication on that and force it round, and that'll get it going again. How long it will last is some discrepancy about it. So you can lubricate it and get it going again, free it up. Make sure there's a bit of ventilation underneath it as well, clean it of any dust. With this, you can do a resistance check on the motor. However, when you do a resistance check, you've got to know what the manufacturer's settings are. Whenever you do a resistance check, it's going to be plus or minus within 10% of what the manufacturers say. Let's have a play. Resistance is on 200. And it's the horseshoe just there, look, can you see? So put the resistance between the neutral and the earth, 104, 105 ohms. So it has to be 10% plus or minus of that. So it can be 114 or 94 ohms. And that will tell you how healthy the motor is, checking the resistance. Now, I'm going to rebuild that, maybe donate it,